cylinder that's actuating on its own, and say there's a valve that's not even, it's not functioning. I mean, it's not on or shifted, and I got down to the point to where the guy didn't even have the return line of the valve hooked up. Now, many of you know what I'm talking about. Some of you may not know what I'm talking about. But the people who are out there maintaining those customers, they really need to know how this thing works in order to maintain that loyalty with that customer. So that's where I'm getting into the over the span of time, what's going on. Some questions. This is a knowledge or a skills question I came up with. Is more than 20% of your technical knowledge or corporate knowledge in your business residing in one person? And this is where this could be a knowledge or skills question, and it could be because there is only one person who really knows, or there's one person who has the initiative to understand what's going on and knows, but he has no skill sets of how to pass that or disseminate that information onto his peers at work. And eventually, if this person should leave the company, there's going to be some sort of an issue. A skills question: does your sales and technical staff have to relearn new ways of doing things every time a key person leaves the company? Again, that could be a salesperson, it could be a president of the company, it could be an acquisition, which is always a challenge where you have different cultural changes, and it's very critical to keep things intact and in line. And communication is very critical. So, and communication is one of those skills. The focus question: are you losing good people with potential just when they're about to be productive and get to know their team? Okay, it's kind of like where did we go wrong? We have a guy who left the company. He's very focused on what he really wants to do. However, the company did not, or organization did not communicate with this person about where they were going and how this individual would fit into that company. So that's a challenge when you lose good people. So shifting, with that thought in mind, we're going to shift into some internal and external facts. And what I've been talking about are internal facts from the standpoint of, say, your organization. It could be your customer, and it is in your customer's organization as well. I'm not going to say and or. It's a challenge that everybody has in every different level of market. So just as an example, I'm going to talk about one that really is very much in concern right now is the generational shift that's going on in the workplace. Some of you may have already read about this, but approximately or more than 25% of workforce in the baby boomer generation. Okay, so what? They began retiring in 2008 at a rate of about 350 people per hour, and there was a projection that in the next 5 years or so, and that I think that's down to about 3 years, that we will have a shortage of what would be considered skilled and knowledge workers in the workplace, because the baby boomer market or generation is not only the largest consuming market or using market, but they are the largest workforce market. So they bring a lot of the knowledge and skills, or to our customers, and same thing for our customers. They're losing people as well. So how do we keep up and compensate for this sort of an issue? And okay, here's the backfill. From the X and Y generation, there are only about 46 million to potentially replace the 78 million baby boomers that are leaving the market. So not only is this an economical issue, which we're into right now, probably because a lot of what we're seeing right now is based on how the retired baby boomers are actually spending their money. And for those technically graph-oriented people, I threw this one in here just to kind of show that this range of baby boomers it was quite huge, and that's between 1940 and or I'm sorry, 1946 and 1964 is the range of baby boomers, and that was just the post-Korea War, our post-World War II and Korean War is what really kind of generated that. And you see that the X generation, who are the people who are in the seats right now in our organizations, running the show almost, they, there's fewer of them, and of course they're being followed by the Y generation, which is anticipated to be almost as large as the baby boomer generation. But we'll see. But anyway, this is kind of a it's not an obvious factor in the external and internal. It is rather abstract, but it is something to keep in consideration when you're trying to maintain your company in terms of its integrity and its capability to respond to what's going on in the market, the requirements. Another external fact or driven fact is mandates. In this case, we have Tier 4 over in Europe. It's called Euro 5, which is the emission standards for 2010. And Tier 4 will escalate to some higher numbers. They are estimating about 17,000 existing machines globally will require high-efficiency hydraulic systems by 2010. And this is going to take on lower horsepower, cleaner burning type of engines that everybody's required to. And their horsepower limit is around 90 to 100 horse and above that are affected by this. But as the tier levels increase, that horsepower rating is going to come down. So this obviously in the fluid power industry, as far as mobile hydraulics, is a really interesting number with a lot of potential. So, and then of course there's also RoHS and other green compliances, since green is the big word, and there's a lot of movement towards that. There's going to be a lot of enforcement towards keeping everything green, and I'm sure for those service companies out there that already have to deal with fluid or the fluid disposal, there's also manufacturers out there that have to deal with fluid compatibility. Not to say it hasn't already been done in Europe. We're just kind of catching up here in the United States with that sort of a subject. So this being one of the more interesting of the two, since the other one more is more of a passive compliance, but still very important. We have to ask ourselves, okay, what are we going to do about this opportunity? And is my organization, say distributor sales organization, am I ready to take this on? Okay, so what do I have to understand in order to dive into this? I have to understand the control of maximum energy transfer while the control of cost versus market value. This really affects everybody from the customer up to the distributor, up to the manufacturer, and then their suppliers. There's just so many different levels that of education that's required in order to make all this work, because a lot of the maximum energy transfer components out there, there's still a bit of a confusion factor about what the market value is versus how much it costs to make it. And of course, the distributors are going to be concerned about how they can sell it, what sort of profit can they get out of that. So systems I'm talking about are mainly hydraulic and load sense systems, but we're going to be seeing more electronic load sense systems coming into play. There's flow limited compensated systems. Many of you especially in mobile fluid power have already seen all the different, what is quote unquote post compensated type of spool valves that are out there to actually work under these conditions, where basically the system is undersized flow-wise, and the valve will compensate for any sort of starvation that may occur in the system while the operator is running the machine. So that is a growing operator demand, more so on machines from the past, certain machines that really do require it, such as like backhoes. There's a lot of let's say like pavers that require a lot of continuous duty